Some truths don't stay buried forever, even if they hurt. That's what Carlie Red posted to her story at 2:03 a.m. No caption, no product tag, no wig, no lashes, no glitter gloss. Just her reflection in a dark mirror, dimly lit, tired eyes, and those haunting words. And that was it. But within minutes, screens lit up across the country. That story hit differently. Fans didn't scroll past it like her usual thirst traps or petty subliminals. There was something in her face, no filter, no sass, just raw weight that made people pause. People screenshot it. People speculated. People knew, instinctively, that something was about to erupt. They just didn't know how deep the fallout would go. The blogs were on it by morning. One small gossip page known for always getting the tea before the cameras dropped a blind item that cracked everything open. A certain love and hip-hop vet had confronted a former flame in private. A pregnancy was mentioned. Voices were raised. Producers panicked. And the man in question, he wasn't single. He wasn't available. And if the rumors were true, he was about to lose everything. It didn't take long for people to connect the dots. Carlie, Kirk, the history, the tension, the storyline that had fizzled out seasons ago but always simmered in the background. Number 1 thought it would circle back. Not like this. Carlie hadn't even been on the filming schedule that day. The studio was quiet. Light tapings, no major scenes booked. But she showed up anyway. Black SUV, hoodie pulled low, no glam squad, no manager. Just her, and a folded paper in her bag. Security didn't stop her. She walked in like she had every right to be there. Because she did. And when she reached Kirk's dressing room, she knocked twice and asked for a private word. People said it wasn't tense at first. She was calm, direct. She just wanted to talk. But what she said next, behind that closed door, has now become one of the most explosive, unseen moments in franchise history. She told Kirk she thought she was pregnant, that there had been symptoms, missed cycle, and based on the timeline, there was only one night that made sense. One night they had shared, quietly, after hours, when no one knew they had even been in the same city. A night in New Orleans, after a rap party, in a hotel where cameras weren't allowed, where secrets were safe, or so they thought. Kirk reportedly froze, according to one source who overheard through the hallway wall. His first words were a whispered, "How can that even be possible?" But Carlie didn't stutter. She laid it out. She gave him the date, the context, reminded him what he told her. That night that things with Rashida were over, that he was figuring out who he was, that he didn't want drama, that she was the only one who really saw him. And now, months later, here they were. Only Kirk wasn't figuring anything out anymore. He was back with Rashida, doing press tours, talking about growth, family redemption. He had cleaned up his narrative. Carlie showing up threatened all of that. They say his voice shifted calm to cold. Cold to sharp, accusatory. He allegedly told her, "You always come with mess when I'm finally at peace." Carlie, unfazed, replied, "Or maybe your peace is built on lies." A crew member nearby said they heard something hit a wall, maybe a chair, maybe a fist. No one knows for sure, but something thudded, loud enough for 2 interns to look up. Loud enough to make someone text the producer downstairs. Carlie left less than 5 minutes later, hoodie back up, head down, her face partly turned. And one of her friends waiting outside helped her into the car. They didn't speak, just drove off. That's when it began. By that evening, a mid-sized gossip page posted the words "alleged slap," and that was all it took. The blogs exploded. Twitter threads broke the internet. TikToks reenacting what might have happened hit For You pages across the country. But what hit hardest wasn't the rumors, it was the silence. Because no one denied it. Not Kirk, not Rashida, not VH1, not Mona and Carlie. She disappeared. No social media, no podcast appearances, no shade tweets, just gone. That scared people more than anything. Because Carlie Red is never quiet. And when the loudest woman in the room goes mute, something's not right. Then came the post that set fire to every screen in America. An ultrasound, blurry, black and white, no caption. Uploaded to Carlie's story and deleted 5 minutes later. But the screenshot was already taken. Already posted. Already reshared. And suddenly, this wasn't just drama, it was documentation. Now fans had questions. Was it real? Was it recent? Who was the father? And most importantly, was it Kirk? His Instagram, meanwhile, showed a very different picture. Literally, family photos. Rashida laughing. Kirk holding one of the kids. Hashtags like hashtag family first and hashtag black love and hashtag growth. But fans weren't buying it. His comments section turned into war. People called him a coward. Aliara na manipulator. Some begged Rashida to leave. Others begged her to speak. But she did single quotes. She stayed silent. Again, and her silence, much like Carlie's, screamed louder than any words ever could. Behind the scenes, production was in full damage control. One insider claims Carlie was offered a deal. Stay quiet, don't file anything, and in exchange, the storyline would be edited in her favor. Maybe even a producer credit. She declined. And then the texts leaked. A conversation between Carlie and a close friend. Screenshot and posted anonymously. One line stood out. I didn't want to tell him like that. I was scared, but he needed to know. She didn't mention violence. She didn't say slap, but she confirmed the pregnancy, and that was enough. Suddenly the villain wasn't Carlie. It was the silence, the cover-up. The gaslight. Fans flipped. They flooded comment sections, started hashtags, demanded justice, demanded transparency. Some called for Kirk to be removed from the show. Others called for Mona Scott to be held accountable. Then came the footage. Not of the slap, not of the confrontation, but of the aftermath. Grainy, security cam footage from the studio lot leaked to a gossip page. 2 timestamps. One of Kirk leaving alone, jaw clenched, moving fast. Another of Carlie, minutes later, holding her face, guided by a friend into a waiting car. No audio, no context, but enough to set the narrative ablaze. And just when people thought it couldn't get any messier, a reunion teaser dropped. No warning, no explanation, just one clip. A slow zoom on Carlie's face, as the host asks, "Is it true that you might be expecting?" And Carlie nods. That nod broke the internet. Clip spread like wildfire. Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, reaction channels, theories, timelines, old footage being rewatched, fans connecting dots from past episodes. Every flirty exchange between Kirk and Carlie now looked like foreshadowing. Then the host asked the question that froze the room. Is Kirk the father? And Kirk, who had been shifting in his seat the whole time, finally spoke. We don't even know if that baby is mine, he said. She could be saying anything. Carlie turned to him. You and I both know it's possible, she said. Don't lie now, just to save face. That's when the tension snapped. Kirk tried to spin it, claimed it was a mistake. That he barely remembered. That it was a weak moment and nothing more. But Carlie was done. You begged me to keep it quiet, she snapped. You said you'd take care of it. Then you ghosted me, and now you're saying I made it up. The set shook. Cast members, usually silent during drama, started shifting, whispering, looking away. The host tried to regain control. There have also been some rumors online, she said carefully, about a confrontation. About what happened that day at the studio? Kirk's expression hardened. I'm not here to entertain gossip, he growled. People say all kinds of stuff to get what they want. And then Carlie dropped the line that rewrote everything. Is it gossip if I lived it? She asked. Is it gossip if I was shaking, crying, and ashamed while the people paid to protect me looked the other way? Silence, thick, suffocating. Even production didn't move. You want the truth? Carlie continued, voice trembling now. I came to you like a woman. Told you the truth. You flipped, slammed your hand on the table, screamed in my face. She paused. I never said you hit me. But I will say you scared me. And that line. It wasn't an accusation, it was a statement. A truth buried in fear, wrapped in legal safety. But everyone in that room, every viewer at home knew exactly what she meant. And then Rashida spoke. Finally, her voice low, cold, unblinking. What now? She asked, staring at Kirk. You gonna keep lying? Keep dragging us both through hell? He didn't answer, didn't blink, didn't move. And that's how part 1 ends, not with a bang, but with a breath so heavy, the weight of it cracked the truth wide open. The air in the reunion room was so thick, you could feel it choking everyone's next move. Kirk sat still, not blinking, not breathing, his jaw clenched, his fingers twitching. In his lap, Rashida didn't move either, just stared, her expression unreadable. But her eyes, they were already at war. Production tried to cut the cameras. One of the executive producers even made a move toward the stage, headset on, mouth open, but the host raised her hand, signaling to let it breathe. Because what was unfolding wasn't just entertainment anymore. It was raw, unfiltered, and possibly career-ending. Kirk cleared his throat, leaned into the mic, and said the one line that would haunt him online for weeks. "I'm not perfect. But I ain't a monster." Carlie's laugh broke the tension. But it wasn't joyful. It was tired, bitter. The kind of laugh you let out when you've been holding it in too long. Tell that to the wall you slammed your hand into. Tell that to the table you flipped. Tell that to me when I couldn't get out the room because you stood in front of the door and told me I was messing with your life. And there it was. Still, no direct claim of violence. Still no accusation that could land anyone behind bars. But the language was clear. The message was unmistakable. She had been cornered. Not with fists, maybe, but with power. With fear, Rashida stood up. Not to defend him, not to stop her. Just to walk away. But Carlie reached out and gently touched her wrist. She didn't grab her. Didn't force anything. Just held for a second. "You deserved to know," she whispered. Rashida looked at her for the first time, not as a rival. Not as the woman who'd stirred her marriage, but as someone who had also been lied to, gaslit, trapped in a cycle that wasn't of her making. "I wish you had told me sooner," she said. "Not for the show. Not for the drama. But because we were supposed to be better than this." Backstage, panic was setting in. A junior producer was seen pacing with a clipboard. Another crew member had their phone up, clearly texting someone. Security was watching the edges of the stage, unsure if something physical was about to go down. But it didn't, because this wasn't a fight anymore. It was a reckoning. Someone in the audience whispered, "This ain't TV no more. This real," and they were right. Because what happened next pushed the entire situation into uncharted territory. A camera panned in on Carlie's lap, and there it was. A small white envelope, folded twice. Edges slightly frayed, like it had been carried around in a purse for days. She didn't wave it. Didn't hold it up like a stunt. Just let it sit there, and people noticed. Bloggers started posting still frames, zooming in, speculating. Is it DNA results? A sonogram? A letter from a doctor? One former producer from the franchise anonymously posted on a gossip forum that if Carlie had what they thought she had in that envelope, then VH1 was already in crisis mode. Because once something like that hits airwaves, it's no longer just a storyline. It becomes real. And when it becomes real, legal gets involved. In the days that followed, fans went into overdrive. They dug up everything. Old clips, deleted posts. A behind-the-scenes shot from last season where Kirk and Carlie were allegedly seen in the background of a scene no one could identify. One TikTok went viral comparing the pattern of a hotel carpet scene in Carlie's deleted post with a luxury hotel in Atlanta. Another fan said they cross-referenced Carlie's IG story timestamps with the night. Kirk was supposedly working late during filming. It was amateur detective hour, and no one was safe. And while the fans played CSI, the cast group chats were imploding. Some cast members didn't know what to believe. Others had always suspected. And then there were the quiet ones, crew members, assistants, stylists who had seen too much for too long and were finally ready to whisper. One insider leaked a voice note to a Patreon gossip channel. It wasn't confirmed. The voice was distorted, but it sounded like someone close to production. Someone scared. Someone frustrated. "I told her not to come to set," the voice said. "I said if she showed up with that pregnancy mess, he was gonna flip." The clip was short, 32 seconds, but it was enough. Enough to suggest there had been warnings. Enough to make fans question if producers were more interested in protecting Kirk than protecting the women around him. The hashtag Justice for Carlie started trending within hours. But while all of this was happening online, VH1 stayed silent. No statement, no teaser clarifications, no cast interviews, just silence, and the silence wasn't just suspicious, it was damning, because fans remembered how fast the network had spoken up when a male cast member was falsely accused last season, how quickly statements were made, tweets posted, damage controlled. But now that it was Carlie, they said nothing, and that silence felt like betrayal. And then, as if on cue, Kirk resurfaced, not with an apology, not even with a tweet, but with an Instagram post, a photo of him in the studio. Headphones on, captioned, "Still making moves." The comments section detonated. Still making excuses. Still gaslighting. Still ruining lives. And just like that, the quiet storm turned into a full-blown tornado. Rashida was next. Her Instagram was unusually calm. No rants, no denial. But one post stood out: a candlelit dinner table with one plate, a caption that read, "Healing isn't quiet, but it's mine." No one tagged anyone, but everyone knew who it was for, and behind the scenes, more cracks began to show. Producers reportedly held an emergency cast meeting to discuss how to handle the fallout. A few insiders claimed Kirk arrived late, barely greeted anyone, and when asked if he planned to address the rumors publicly, he allegedly said, "I don't owe nobody anything." That quote leaked almost instantly. Fans weren't having it. Petitions were launched. Bloggers called for boycotts, and for the first time in love and hip-hop history, influencers outside the reality TV space started talking. One podcast host said, "This ain't just Carlie. This is about how the industry protects the wrong ones." Another said, "We're not canceling, we're cleansing." Carlie, meanwhile, stayed steady. She didn't rant, she didn't name, she just showed up. On a YouTube interview with a small podcast, she said, "I didn't ask for this storyline. I didn't want to be the center of this, but I'm not gonna lie to protect someone who tried to scare me into silence." The interviewer asked her, "What are you hoping to get from this? Revenge?" She shook her head. "Peace." Another video dropped days later, this time from behind the scenes. Leaked footage, blurry, muffled audio, but you could hear it. Carlie talking to a crew member. "They want me to stay. They better stop protecting him. I'm done being quiet." The moment was raw, real, the kind of footage that's usually deleted, but somehow, someone had saved it. And that leak cracked everything, because now, people weren't just asking if Kirk did what Carlie claimed. They were asking how many people knew and said nothing. They were asking who signed the checks, who deleted the clips, who told her to be quiet, who kept booking him even as the rumors got louder. By the end of the week, a second anonymous voice memo surfaced. Different source, different voice. But this one was worse. "I told her, if you go public, you know how ugly it can get. I wasn't threatening her, I was warning her. The game ain't fair, and she don't got the power to survive it." The voice was distorted, but the words were clear. It didn't matter whether it was Kirk or not, because what it revealed was how power is used. Not always with fists, but with silence, with threats, with edited footage and manipulated narratives. Carlie didn't respond publicly, but she did post one quote: "You're not crazy for reacting to disrespect. You're brave for refusing to stay silent." And just like that, the narrative shifted again. She wasn't the villain, she wasn't the drama queen. She was the woman who walked into a room to tell the truth and walked out with the entire machine stacked against her, but she was still standing. It started with whispers, then it grew into rage. But now it was something else. Something bigger than Carlie. Bigger than Kirk. Bigger than any one person on that cast. Because this wasn't just about one secret or one slap or one deleted scene. This was about how the entire machine operated. And now that the machine had cracked, there was no way to shut it down without someone getting crushed beneath it. Carlie hadn't spoken in 3 days. No tweets, no podcast clips, no live videos. Just silence. Her Instagram went from chaos to stillness. The last story she posted was a muted selfie with the words, "Let the truth do the talking." That story stayed up for the full 24 hours, and when it disappeared, something else took its place. A subpoena, posted by a journalist on Twitter, watermarked, dated, verified. It showed that Carlie Red had officially filed a restraining order. The name on the paperwork, Kirk Frost. And just like that, the internet broke again. Because it wasn't just a rumor anymore. It wasn't just a pregnancy. It wasn't just a slapped table or a muffled confrontation or an envelope on her lap. It was legal now, and the petition, it wasn't vague. It included direct claims. That Kirk had tried to intimidate her into silence. That he had told her she would never work in this industry again if she went public. That he physically blocked her from leaving a room. That he raised his voice, slammed objects, pressured her, threatened her, and the scariest line of all. He told me I was messing with the wrong man. No direct mention of hitting. No violence, documented, but the implication was enough. And Kirk, he finally responded, not with a video, not with an apology, but through his legal team. They filed a motion denying everything in the document. They called Carlie a publicity-driven individual with a history of seeking relevance through provocation. They said she was bitter. That she had fabricated the entire scenario for attention. That she had every chance to walk away, and that if she didn't, it was because she didn't want to. But the internet had already made up its mind. Because alongside the restraining order, came something else. A voice note, grainy, staticky, but unmistakable. A man's voice, clearly angry, shouting over what sounded like a woman crying. "You not going nowhere. You hear me? You ain't walking out that door." Door slam, glass breaking. Muffled sobbing, then silence. The clip was anonymous. But the voice, fans were already matching it to past reunion footage. 2 interviews, 2 old clips from behind-the-scenes specials. And the consensus was overwhelming. That was Kirk. If it wasn't, why hadn't he denied it? Why hadn't he posted something? Why hadn't Rashida? Instead, they both went dark. And that silence now sounded like confession. Carlie, meanwhile, went live. No glam, no background music. No dramatic monologue, just her, a black hoodie, a soft voice, and a screen full of hearts flying upward. "I didn't want to do this," she said. "But I'm not gonna keep swallowing my truth just so someone else can sleep at night." She didn't name names. She didn't replay the incident. She just talked about fear. About what it felt like to be told, "No one would believe you." About what it's like when people protect your abuser because he's good for ratings. About how the scariest part wasn't being in that room, it was the moment after, when she walked out and realized no one cared. She said she cried in her car for 45 minutes before she even started the engine, that she called one friend, then another, and finally her sister, and when her sister picked up, the first thing she said was, "Don't let them shut you down." She didn't in the following days. Fans became warriors. Petitions flooded. #ProtectCarlie trended across platforms. Women shared their own stories under the tag. Former cast members who had stayed quiet for years started speaking up. Some hinted at their own experiences with intimidation behind the scenes. One anonymous former cast member said on a podcast, "People don't know how deep it goes. You think Mona Scott would pull the plug on a man making her money over a slap she didn't see?" Another chimed in, "It's not even just the slap. It's how everyone stood around and let it happen. How she told them, and they shrugged." The real shift came when fans started to aim higher, not just at Kirk. Not just at VH1, but at the entire infrastructure that enabled it. Viewers demanded the uncut footage from the studio that day, demanded clarity on who deleted what, demanded to know how many producers were told to keep quiet, demanded Mona speak, demanded a full investigation. And still, from the top, silence. The only sound was the steady leak of more footage, more whispers, more quiet confirmations that something had indeed happened, and everyone with a check knew it. One particular leak made everything worse. A screenshot, dated the day after the confrontation. An internal production email, allegedly, telling crew members not to speculate on camera about Carlie and Kirk's incident. To defer all questions to PR and not post or like anything publicly. That email hit Twitter, then Reddit, then blogs, then news. And now, it wasn't just a scandal. It was a cover dash up and right in the middle of it. RASHEEDA. Because while everyone assumed she was hiding out, something unexpected happened. She showed up to film. No makeup. Just jeans and a hoodie. Walked straight into a confessional shoot and said, "Y'all rolling?" The producer nodded and Rashida said something no one expected. "I don't know what's true anymore. I just know what hurts." She looked dead into the camera. "And I know I've been loyal to a man who hasn't always earned it." No tears, no dramatics, just honesty. And when that aired, the audience cracked open. Because Rashida wasn't defending him, she wasn't denying anything. She was finally asking the question everyone else had been screaming. What if it's all true? That line made headlines. It made the network nervous, and it made Kirk spiral. According to someone close to production, he called the producers the next day and threatened to pull out of all future tapings. Said he wasn't going to be painted as some abuser. Said Carlie was trying to destroy him. But the damage was done. Carlie didn't destroy him. He did. She just stopped keeping the secrets. And then came the envelope. Remember that envelope? The one folded in her lap during the reunion? It surfaced on a late-night live stream with a lawyer present. Carlie held it up. It was a medical report, blood work, confirmation, pregnancy dated back to the week of filming in New Orleans, and attached to it, text messages from Kirk. "I still care about you. I just need time to figure this out. Please don't go public." All sent before the explosion. All proof that he knew. That he believed her. that he just didn't want the world to end. When fans saw that, everything changed. Brands started pulling out. Sponsorships froze. A sneaker collab Kirk had been working on. Gone. A liquor campaign he had filmed. Cancelled. One label quietly removed his artist page from their site. And the internet rejoiced, not because they wanted to see him fall, but because, for once, the woman who told the truth wasn't laughed out of the room. Carlie Red, the woman they'd called messy, dramatic, unstable for years, stood firm, and the world finally saw her not as a caricature, but as a survivor. The final scene in this story didn't happen on TV. It happened on a sidewalk. Carlie leaving a lawyer's office, walking into the sun, no makeup, no cameras, following just peace. Someone in the crowd asked her, "You okay now?" She smiled. "Not yet, but I'm not scared anymore." And maybe that's the victory. Because in a world where women like Carlie are told to hush, told to wait, told to not mess things up for once, she did the opposite. She spoke, she screamed, she didn't go away. And now the industry that tried to silence her can't stop the noise. So now we ask you, do you believe Carlie? Did Kirk go too far? And who else was involved in keeping this buried? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because this isn't just a scandal, it's a wake-up call. And while other channels give you gossip, here, we give you the truth with teeth. Subscribe, because what's coming next might be even louder than this. Stay ready. The truth always leaks. Always leaks.